Hey. I said, excuse me, but you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, cross the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop up, bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up. Snooze on the kid that you dumb or what? You better go get your numbers up. Now
baby leg, hang out your shit like. I'm recording her. Hey yo, how long? My child. This is not my child. No, it's not.
Are you gonna help me?
Yeah, you gotta give me change.
I don't have change.
What happened to you?
Are you gonna help me?
What happened to you?
I don't know what happened to me. They said I got raped.
What?
Can you help me, please? They said I got raped. They said I got raped. Can you help me, please?
Oh my God. This is so what? This is good footage right here. Hey, yo, come on. I'm gonna help you right now. Come on.
Anyways, folks, sorry about that false live there, Jeremiah, Mike, Jasmine. I don't know what the hell happened. I hit the live button that first time and nothing happened. But no, it just occurred to me for the first time. I played that video many times. It never occurred to me that she's actually, her premise is that is a baby there with the baby leg.
I didn't get that from the context.
That was it. Yes, she's actually presenting the premise that is a baby, right? With the leg just sticking out, I think, or something. And the dude's like, "That's not my baby," right? That's what Jasmine. That's what I got from that. I didn't get that until just now.
I wouldn't know. There was nothing playing on my end.
Oh, there's nothing on your end. Oh, okay. Well, then you know
plausible deniability, Jasmine.
That's okay. Listen,
very nice. Well done,
Mike. Obviously, we were not aware that there's this new trend now with this baby leg shit or whatever. We're all old people. We're not hip, right? So
right.
Clearly, this whole baby leg thing must be hip with the youth these days. I don't know.
Must be the new thing going around. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an accessory. It's like jewelry, right? Instead of a bracelet, you got a baby leg. Jeremiah, if you could pull off a baby leg as a part of your outfit, that's how you come on. I'd love that, bro. That would be very bleeding edge style.
That's a little bit too nom for me, man. That's a little bit too Vietnam for my taste. We're gonna go ahead and keep moving. Let's keep this moving here.
Good connection though with Nom though. All right. Anyways, folks, MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. Another installment. MCU Phase 5, Phase 6 preview. Hopefully, has everybody here seen Ant-Man 3?
No,
but I don't mind spoilers. I know you might be the only one.
No. We're not even going to talk about it then. Don't even. I will not even be mentioned. We're not even going to go there. Jasmine, right? Not even going to happen. You never know with Jasmine. She does her own thing. She either decides to respond to me or not. It's all within her purview. Either way.
Hi.
Hot D.
There you go. Anyways, you earned that, by the way. So, Mike.
All day, every day.
All day, every day. You are a new addition to the panel on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Sir, please, so I don't fuck up your bona fides, would you please go ahead and let everybody know in the audience who exactly you are besides Mike Butler?
Other than being Mike Butler, I'm also the co-host of Forgotten Cinema, a podcast about forgotten films. That's on any podcast host you can. I also am one of the co-runners of Forgotten Entertainment, which is kind of a small podcast network of like-minded individuals who have other pop culture podcasts like DC Animated. I do another podcast about craft beer, and we did have an MCU podcast way back in the day as well, but it hasn't been going on for a while. So we just have a lot of other pop culture podcasts on Forgotten Entertainment.
And you know what? I really hope that you and I, regardless of the antics and whatnot and all that, I hope that maybe by the end of the show, when we're done and whatnot, you have a good enough experience and enjoy the show enough to where, like, you know, we can try to talk about some of the things we flushed out on Twitter, because we could use some help on the DC end. We really could. Jeremiah knows that. Jasmine knows that. Jasmine knows more about DC and DC comics and the characters than I do.
Sure.
So, you know, it's reality, Jazz. You do. So, I mean, at that point, I'm not, you know, I'm willing to like be real about the fact that when I moderate some of these DC shows, I won't lie. I don't know some of the background information of the characters and whatnot and all that. I can't tell their origin stories. So it just helps to have people to back me up and whatnot that can. That's all it is.
I got you.
Fill in the gaps a little bit, you know. I can moderate a show, anything on anything. It's just, I need somebody sometimes just to kind of support me a little bit. That's why Jeremiah is here. He's here to basically he's like the Milli Vanilli of me, like angle with me, I just facilitate off his ideas and like his, talent. Right. And it just rubs off off on me, by just knowing him basically. But, Jeremiah,
you keep asking for me to rub off.
No,
to you,
I put Jeremiah in a tight spot.
It's not happening.
I gave him an hour. I pushed him before the show. I gave him an hour of some homework, and I'm like, "Yo, you ready for some shit? You ready to nut up? Here you go. Here's some shit. Tell me what you can do with it. If you can give me something good with this, but that's okay."
Yeah. Well, didn't really have much time to get around to it. I was able to throw like 5 minutes worth of something together, so I didn't come empty-handed.
Hey, at least you didn't only last 17 seconds, right? Hey,
that is right.
Ladies are not too happy with that. That doesn't work very well these days, I hear. But Jeremiah, my friend, how are you? It's good to welcome you back to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Good to have you back on the panel, my friend.
Glad to be here. It's my third time back on the show, and there's always a unique start to the day. We had a false start, and I'm hoping that somebody could explain to me the music video that was in the false start at some point, because I don't like Jasmine's jam. I have no clue.
Jasmine, explain to Jeremiah what the deal is with that video.
Okay, so that's Doja Cat. She's more, that was during her earlier days of like a comedic song she put out that she was just being goofy and goofing off, and fans loved it so much that they were like begging and asking for a music video. So she said, fuck it. She put a green screen in her bedroom and just ordered food and made a goofy ass video.
That's really funny. I know Doja Cat, from like her more recent songs, but I don't watch music videos or whatever, so I don't know what any of these artists look like.
Yeah, I don't watch anything except MCU and whatnot and all that and whatnot. So I don't know who the hell Doja Cat is. I just know when I see some crazy shit or whatever and whatnot, I want to get it and put it on the show. That's all I need to know.
That was her older stuff, which is more fun and like goofy. Now that was back when she was thick. Now she's like skinny thick, which is like a whole different genre of body type.
Skinny thick. Okay, you know what? We'll have to have Jasmine. You and I we can have a private conversation about how skinny thick is all that right now. I find that very interesting, to be honest with you. Definitely not anything I'll be experiencing any time with my constantly flaccid, situation downstairs. But that's another conversation. No, anyways, folks, we're here to go ahead and do another installment. Jasmine, of course. I don't need to introduce you because you are Jasmine, a regular guest on the MCU's Bleeding Edge for quite a long time now. What else is there to say? You're Jasmine. Hey, look, and you even upgraded your freaking your avatar, like just from jump, like nothing.
Well, you had a false start, so I had to reset it.
If you guys keep mentioning my false starts again and again, you're going to seriously fuck up my credibility with ladies. I'm telling you right now. You're going to start really diminishing my abilities here.
Your premature start over here.
Oh, now you had to add that in there.
You're doing a really good job undercutting yourself. Just replay the last 5 minutes.
Jeremiah, did it ever occur to you maybe I do that on purpose?
Anyway, no, I'm sure it's to keep yourself humble.
It is. Anyways, no, folks. We're here to do a phase 5, phase 6 installment. I don't know which one it is now, but we're doing Echo Disney Plus series. We're going to basically kind of just dig into it. There's not much there to work with really in terms of I guess storyline or maybe the breadth of the casting and everyone we will see in the series, but we do know basically the main characters. We know that it's going to revolve around Kingpin. It's going to revolve around Daredevil. It's going to revolve around Echo, Hell's Kitchen, the Mob, crime, right? And then whatever other elements Marvel Studios decides to throw in there, basically, right? And it's going to connect and tie directly into Daredevil Born Again. Now, we do officially know, well, we don't officially know. We know as of Twitter yesterday that Alka Cox, that plays Echo, tweeted, "Can't wait for October." So there you go. I guess that officially means that we're going to get the Echo Disney Plus series in October, and we will get Daredevil Born Again to start off 2024. That's what I'm assuming based off that. That's how it'll work. At the end of the Echo Disney Plus series, that will be the end of Disney Plus for that year. We'll get Daredevil Born Again at some point, probably March, I would assume, in 2024. They'll wait a month or two, and then they'll drop that. Like Jeremiah, anybody, Jasmine, on that? You think I'm wrong with that? That makes sense, or?
I think that makes sense because Kevin Feige said already that he doesn't want to oversaturate it. So if Echo came out in October with Loki and everything else coming out, I'm sure he'd push that to like at least March, maybe even like March would probably be more right than like April, May.
Echo,
yeah,
I mean,
give it some
Echo,
time.
This will be the final series of the year. We would get Secret Invasion first, right? Either at the end of March or the beginning of April. We'd get What If Season 2 right after that. Okay. Then we'll get Loki Season 2, and then we're going to get Echo. Well, those will be our 4 Disney Plus series this year, which is, hey, that's a pretty solid freaking slate, man. I'm pretty happy with that, right? Anything that doesn't involve Ironheart. What do you think, Jasmine?
Ironheart alone. I don't even get why you don't like her, especially since she was actually comic book accurate. Anyway, I think that, yeah, it should be coming out around March because of the way that he wants to spread everything out, and because Phase 4 was kind of impactful when it came to a lot of stuff coming at us on Disney Plus, where it was hard for newer viewers to really stay in tune because there was so much going on. They felt like there was so much to catch up on. So
well, yeah. The only reason why I do waver a little bit with this though is because normally I want to rely on the formula with Marvel and the fact that they are consistent usually with how they go about things. But in this one situation, I don't know if it makes sense to have that time off that they usually would have after the end of the year, where they would have that buffer like they're having with Secret Invasion, right? Where the Mandalorian's going to come out first, which, shameless plug, folks, we are reviewing the first episode of The Mandalorian this Wednesday. There you go, Jeremiah. Thank you very much, sir. Jasmine will be there, I'm assuming, right, Jasmine?
Duh.
There you go. T-shirts are on the way, Jasmine. I'm working on them right now. I'm just trying to find a good sale on them, but we'll have them. We're doing episode season 1 on Wednesday, and we're pushing The Last of Us reviews for the rest of the series to Fridays, to our Friday shows, folks. Just so you know. Same times as always. Last of Us episode 7 this Friday coming up this week. We'll be doing it, but it'll be on Friday. So we're switching over to Star Wars mode, baby. And Jeremiah, buddy, if you will just do one episode with us, I'll get you a T-shirt, brother. I'm just wondering with this, if maybe they might decide that they might want to just go ahead and throw Daredevil Born Again right out in like January or whatever, right off of Echo. You know what I mean? If Echo completes, say there's 6 episodes, if it comes out in October, at the end of October, that means that it will eventually probably finish right in mid-December. Okay. So at that point, that means that there'll be no Disney Plus for the rest of December, then whatever they do in the beginning of 2024. So this is where things start to conflict. I was on the, long story short, I was on the Scene Stops podcast the other week as a guest. And when they asked me straight up about if I believe the stuff and whatnot with Iger and Feige, they're going to start slowing things down and whatnot, I said temporarily, but then they're just going to go back to the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Just they're going to use different types. Maybe they're going to do stuff more Werewolf by Night style specials and stuff like that and whatnot instead of the Disney Plus series themselves. But they're going to start, if MCU starts getting hot again, which it will, right? We're going to have a good year this year, guys, for the fandom. I'm telling y'all right now, we have a lot to be happy for and look forward to. We do. It's a very optimistic time period, but we should be optimistic logically for what we have coming up in front of us. At least I believe firmly. And I want to, but then again, I'm a fanboy. So what can I say? I'm biased. But no, I believe in the MCU. I do. I believe Phase 5 is going to be a major change from Phase 4. And how fans are going to take that, I don't know. But all I'll tell you about Ant-Man, guys, is this. Just so you know, I did something I've never done before. And when I went to watch it, during the credits, I walked. There was 5 other people in the cinema. I went to all of them, each individually, told them who I was quickly, with my charm and everything and whatnot, and my extroverted, personality and all that, and just asked them straight up, thumbs or down, thumbs up, thumbs down. Were you content? Were you happy with what you got with the movie? 4 out of 5 were not happy. There you go. It's that simple. Now, these are just 5 random people, 4 women and 1 man. Or excuse me, 4 men and 1 woman. All right? A couple and then 3 individual men. So who knows? I don't know. None of them said they hated it. They just said that they were not enthralled by it, essentially. They did not, I guess, do it for them. Right? Now, the one guy who did like it was enthusiastic about it as hell. I thought it was great. So, and I thought it was great. There you go. Either way, nothing's perfect. But before we get into Echo and how it leads into Born Again and Daredevil, Mike, are you a fan of Daredevil from the comics?
I am. I never really, my comic book reading was mostly just Superman growing up, a little bit of Batman, but I did read I've read some Born Again. Somebody let me borrow their comic book, but not long enough, way back in the day. But I had read sporadic comic books throughout. I liked the Ben Affleck movie when I was a kid. It came out when I was in middle school, and I was like, this is pretty good. And the director's cut's actually decent. But I was always interested in his powers, the more serious tone. I love the Netflix show.
Who doesn't? Man? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I've never heard
Exactly.
I've never met anybody that didn't like it.
No, me neither. And then Punisher came out, and John Bernthal's Punisher was great. So, you know, I'm a fan of all that. The MCU in general, I have completely I'm not a fanboy, which I think I did mention when we first tweeted each other. I have grown tired of the MCU in general, but I think what Daredevil does is scratch that itch of being different, being something that can connect, but is not necessarily stuck on being part of the assembly line of MCU that I think. So I'm really excited they're bringing Daredevil back, but also kind of apprehensive about what it's going to be.
I see you. I got you, Jeremiah.
Mike, what did you think of Moon Knight?
I didn't watch Moon Knight. I do want to watch Moon Knight because it does seem a little more out there.
Because it's different. Because you don't want the same kind of churn or tone, Moon Knight takes a very different direction. It's a different pantheon of gods that
and it's a metric
to dealing. Yeah,
and it's a metric, Jeremiah. You know that it's a metric that a lot of us, I think, used in terms of how they're going to handle the Punisher and Daredevil in a Disney-fied world that they're going to be living in and having to produce the series, right? I viewed Moon Knight very much as a compass. Did you, Jeremiah? As a gauge.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
If they were going to,
how are they going to play Moon Knight out?
How are they going to play him out as far as like the grittiness and the violence that needs
the
to
graphic? Because let's be honest here, Moon Knight in the comics, whether you know a lot about him or not, he's graphic. He kills people. When he fights people, he fights to kill. You know what I'm saying? Like he's there, or he's trying to hurt you. There's blood, right? There's violence. There's sex, right? You know, like he even like uses sex as a part of like some of his like alter egos and whatnot. You know, like I mean, he does a lot of different stuff to try to insert himself into the criminal underworld, right? So he's just like Frank Castle Punisher will do in the comics. He'd sleep with a chick here and there if he had to, right? Just to kind of get dirt. Or work his way in?
Well, it depends on which you're referring to, though, because you're forgetting that the MCU is getting ready to launch its rated R division of the MCU.
But what does that mean, though, Jasmine? What does that mean?
They're testing out the water right now.
They said that with Moon Knight.
No, Moon Knight. They said that what they were doing was testing out the water to see what fans wanted. Did they want more gritty? Did they want it a medium tone where it was a little bit of both?
But they didn't do it gritty.
Moon Knight was, and then they went a little bit further with Werewolf by Night.
No, Jasmine, there was no gritty. There was no graphic in Moon Knight. There wasn't any.
When it came to Moon Knight, it was a little bit more rougher. It was rougher than majority of the MCU fight scenes that we've had. When it comes to blood, really getting in there, because the Avengers, say what you want, they aren't as brutal as they could be if they were more realistic in regards to how they hit. Because there's no way Captain America can throw that shield and it's not cutting people in half as Scarlet Witch. Okay, so like it's just realism, and then there's what the MCU does. And the MCU tries to push that boundary between keeping faithful to the comics and also trying to add this weird Disney aesthetic to it, which is really starting to get old.
But Jasmine, it's not getting old. It's not getting old. That's the crux of what we're talking about right now, is that Moon Knight was a metric to us.
Because as a Marvel fan who's read the comics and have grown up with the original like Fox Marvel films, I know where they can go, but they choose not to, and that's my issue, because they keep trying to keep their younger fans, but they're forgetting that the fans who've been here for the last 10-something years are older now, and they need to evolve with their growing audience instead of trying to continuously reach out to their younger, newer audiences.
Now that makes sense. Now that I get, and I'm sorry, Jasmine, I misinterpreted what you were trying to make, the point you're trying to make, and I think it's very valid. So I apologize for that. I didn't mean to repeat what you were saying. It made sense to me now. But no, Mike, what you'll find on the bleeding edge is this. Now, of course, we have a show to do here, but at the same time, this is interesting. So, you know, what you just contributed and whatnot opened up something here, a vein that I think is interesting. I just want to ask a question here before I have a little surprise for you guys, just to open things up and kind of get the tempo going. And don't worry, it's not another crazy video with baby legs or anything like that. I promise you. That'll be for later on for the second segment. But no. But basically, do you feel like, Mike, and I'll go to you, Jasmine, then you, Jeremiah. Do you feel like there's people in the fandom that are saying that we need to go more in like an earth-based street level direction in the MCU right now? That's what we're lacking in that, is that we went away from that, and that we need to go back to our roots in a way, almost, if you want to say, if that's our roots. I don't know how that is really our roots, but they're saying that we need that connectivity on that human level that you get from like a series like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, for instance, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I agree with you that we didn't start on the streets. We started with a billionaire flying through the sky. But I do think that there's a lacking, like even the Spider-Man movies. I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but the whole point of ending Spider-Man 3 was to get him back as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Is
what you're gonna do.
You doesn't know how to do street level films yet. But I enjoyed Hawkeye. I liked that kind of buddy cop comedy, even though it was still kind of Disneyfied and MCU-ish. You know, it was refreshing to have a pared down. The stakes are not multiverse ending or multiverse destroying. It's just, hey, here are our heroes. Let's care about our heroes, and this is about them. Kind of like a street level film.
Good point too. Good point. They did a better job of buddy copying, pulling off the buddy cop, the deadly weapon, vibe.
Yep.
Than Captain Marvel did with Samuel L. and Brie Larson. They did.
Mm-hmm.
They did a better job. That was what they wanted. That was their goal with Captain Marvel. And that's where things kind of got a little shoddy, was that it didn't go in that direction. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
I'm going to piggyback on what Mike was talking about. It's also easier to tell street level stories. One of the biggest problems when you're writing for omnipotent characters is that the threat has to be so ridiculous that there are so many plot holes and so much ridiculousness that you just have to fake your way to an ending. Meanwhile, you have Daredevil and you have Spider-Man, like people who most audience members would be able to relate to, just because of how human, emotionally, and grounded they are. And you can show the impact of, that 5-year disappearance between the snap and Endgame, like the impact of that on everyday people, as the two of them, as Matt Murdock and Peter Parker, walk around their neighborhoods and they see hardships that could only exist because of the results of what they're talking about. All right, hold on one second. Let me see what you're saying here. Oh, okay. It's us. Check the chat real quick. One thing that's incredibly important is when you have the opportunity to write emotionally challenging stories. Like with Daredevil, we were talking about the last time I was on the show. A lot of it is about challenging his faith. And they rely very heavily on the Catholic iconography, as well as circumstances that force him, just like in the Ben Affleck movie, to come to the I'm not the bad guy moment, and where he has to start like these internal struggles. And Peter Parker, again, Peter has a lot of opportunity to intermingle with a lot of the heavy hitters, but then also interact with the people who are routinely and unceremoniously dealing with the consequences of those actions. And you just get a broader, more in tune perspective, and that's going to be a lot easier of a way to hook readers and viewers, we're talking about the MCU, viewers back into these POV characters that are just more relatable and accessible than the talking tree, which everybody loved.
Most definitely. Jasmine, as I said to you in the comment section, please feel free to take as much time with you want with this and whatnot. And after that, I'll go ahead and drop a throwback Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailer, baby, which I think will be very invigorating for the energy of the show.
Well, I wanted to agree with Mike when it came to the Hawkeye TV series. I very much enjoyed that, having that very street level, seeing how, as a citizen, how Kate kind of saw the Avengers in the very first film and how that affected her and how they were looking up and how it was like play by play, the same scene from the film, but you got to see how it affects normal people. And that's something we lack in the MCU because we keep seeing everything from this superhero standpoint in a world that is far more reaching than just them. And that's what I love about the comic book series of the Civil War is that they actually did a like 6 issues of front lines, which was you being in the eyes of reporters and firefighters and citizens being having debris and lasers shot at them just due to the fact that they were being caught in the crosshairs, and how smaller lesser heroes like Ant-Man were there sitting on their shoulders saying, okay, go this way, go that way, just to avoid the damage while trying to not get caught by, the Iron Man end of the war. And I just feel like they really need to get to that point, because when it came to the Jessica Jones TV series and Iron Fist and Cage and Daredevil series, what I loved about them is they felt so grounded and you felt lost in the world that they lived in, and how it was like a day-to-day situation, much like the comics. And it's something they've started to fall away from after the first, phase, when you got to see how Iron Man was doing his, was going through alcoholism, and he, his device in his chest was poisoning him. And it's little things that you really need to know about these characters that we're not quite getting, and we're just only getting as last minute ideas at the end of their run as superheroes. And that's just sad. Because when it came to Fist showing up in Hawkeye, him going from the character we saw in Daredevil to damn near ripping a door off of its hinges and throwing Kate across the room was fucking cool. I don't care what people were complaining about that. Oh, he looks goofy. How's he doing? It's like, have you read a comic? Like, he was right off the pages, and the fact that he got shot and it bounced off is all due to his wardrobe. And that's something true fans would know. And I understand that those who don't read comics don't understand that. And sometimes you need to establish that for those fans. Like, maybe he gets arrested or something, and they talk about the Cavalier in his shirt being damaged or something.
Jasmine, can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the biggest storytelling problems is when you take a pre-existing material like the comic, and then when you try to recreate it, you do the kind of thing that you're describing, where you don't include the context for the new audience member, and you just assume that the people who are coming to see the film or the new version of it already come with a background knowledge that simply just doesn't exist. So I expect people to be upset with Vincent D'Onofrio throwing a door off or tearing a door off the hinges, as if that's not normal for Kingpin.
Yeah.
You have to educate your viewer.
You do.
Yeah, and I can understand, because they were lighting Twitter up aflame, because I live on Twitter when I watch TV shows of Marvel, because it's hilarious. And I love just being in the like looking at them and watching them roast it like they did She-Hulk, and then their tweets end up on the show, which was hilarious. So it's fun things.
Wait, so you watch these shows like in like real time, and you try to follow the hashtags? All right, cool.
Yeah, because they're hilarious. And the
You're
only
playing a
time
different
it's
game than the
been
rest
that
of
good
us.
is with WandaVision, though. It was WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki were like the height of Phase 4, when people were literally in the Twitter stream.
No, Jasmine, good call. Those are going to end up being, I think, the OG Disney Plus series all time. Probably. I don't think they may never be able to match those.
Yeah, because I was there for the rest of the shows and being in the live stream, and it wasn't the same. Not the way that like if you were there, it's kind of like if you were in the movie theater for Endgame. That's how those 3 shows were like on Twitter. So
well, I just mean I can't relate to that, Jasmine, because I don't.
Well, you can look up like Endgame footage of people like celebrating when in certain scenes. That's pretty easy to find. But for the most part, it was a moment in history for Disney Plus in general, and they keep trying to repeat it, but that's the problem. You're trying to.
Are you talking about Endgame? Or are you talking about Endgame?
No, I'm saying they're trying to repeat WandaVision, the success of WandaVision, and Loki and stuff with other of their series that they've tried to push out or their movies, and that's not what you need. What you need is to make a good piece of art, a story, and have that initially come out and be amazing.
Jasmine, I'm going to jump on that too, because I think one of the major reasons why WandaVision was so successful was because of the story. You know, a lot of my students, like I said, I'm a high school English teacher, so like a lot of my students still have, they still struggle between figuring out what the plot of the story is versus what the point of the story is. And WandaVision had a lot of excellent plot points and a lot of great action sequences. The point of WandaVision was to talk about how this woman is dealing with the trauma of losing everything that she cared about. It's about grief, and a lot of people were very easily plugged in because it's a very universal emotion. I think they had a lot of meat to go off of, and Elizabeth Olsen pulled off that role really well. Paul Bettany, I think his last name is. I just saw him.
Yep.
I just saw him live as Andy Warhol on Broadway with Andy Warhol and Basquiat. It's a fantastic show. He's such a talented actor. I think the two of them were able to really tap into the feelings of grief and loss, which are so simple that they're relatable to everyone. And I think that was part of the magic of why WandaVision was just so accessible.
Mike, let me throw to you. Wrap this up, okay?
Oh, the reason I think WandaVision was successful was the themes were great, but it was also not as wholly connected to the rest of the MCU. You could pretty much go into that without knowing anything else. You get at the very beginning, hey, I love this, robot man, and he died, and now I have grief, and now I'm imagining this place, and it just kind of went from there. There weren't that many. I mean, they did have kind of Monica Rambeau in there and stuff like that, but it wasn't super connected, and you didn't have that burden of having to have watched every MCU thing. Like even like when Jasmine talked about Fisk. Fisk is super strong in the Daredevil show as well, throwing Daredevil everywhere, squishing a man in the very first episode with a car door, and his suits. That was a whole big plot line.
He could have killed the Punisher if he wanted to, and he chose not to.
Exactly, but you have to have had not just Disney Plus. Now you have to have had Netflix, and now you had to have watched Daredevil seasons probably 1 and 2 at least to get like, oh, this is Fisk, and it's there just for the people that had watched the show. But successful shows like WandaVision, like my fiance barely watches, a lot of the MCU stuff. But we watched WandaVision because it was cool, because it was different, because it was unique, and it didn't come with baggage. And I think too much of the MCU also requires this, what are we, 30 plus shows and movies now? Like,
well, this is a character we might be getting in the MCU shortly.
Are going to take off.
Some of them going to bomb.
Just like they've bombed in the comics.
What about this guy? You think this guy can make it for the Avengers?
Diamond Days, a ninja teaching flicks. I didn't let me see the sign there. Come on in here, ninja. Here's my ninja. Diamond Days Ninja School. Come on down. What we're going to teach you, hold that, Lord, and what we're going to teach you in our first episode is a proper stance and a proper kung fu. And you got your Judy chop, all right? You got your karate chop, and you got your ninja chop. Now, what smart thing to do is like when you use a judo chopping, you got to say it, for you beginners, like a Judy chop. Because what you don't want to do is like be a Judy chopping and a kung fu kicking, and there goes your leg. There ain't much hollering for a one-legged ninja out there. Right there, hard as a rock, buddy. Let me show you something. It'll happen last time, baby. Don't put it in front of your face. I don't want to hurt you. You got me? What we're going to do here, we're going to work on the ninja chop. So what we're going to do? You go a ninja chop. Well, now see, now sometimes it don't always work for a ninja, you know, but it practice makes it perfect. Don't go ninja nobody, don't need ninja, alrighty? Now them things there, if I was put them in my pockets, they'd get me for concealment of a deadly weapons. They say you got your son fella coming at you out in the trailer park. Regular cannon-backer, you say? No, says I. Watch this, people. Yeah, we just rolling through the trailer park. What's that? What's that fella doing? Ninja start. Right there. That son fella jumps out behind a trailer on you. You know, you got to put them on out yonder like that. And you can't get him caught up in your ninja outfit, you know. And like if a feller's coming at you with...
Dude, that guy lived right next door to me, man.
Yo, what the hell was that weapon he pulled out there, DM? Was that a crack pipe? Like,
it looked like a damn skull can or something, didn't it?
Where did you find that?
There you go. Now that of course was that was a resume tape for the Special Olympic Avengers, right? That's the new wing of the Avengers is going to come out. They're going to do West Coast, the Special Olympics. So just to be clear, Jasmine, you were wondering what that was, bro? That's I told you that's Diamond Dave or whatever, Ninja School. He's good.
I was like, what in the world?
He's very talented. You saw him.
I'm glad that he cautions the viewer to not ninja anybody who doesn't need ninjaing.
Jeremiah, that was very nice. That's going on the merch, bro. That's going on the merch, bro. That's going to be one of our. Nice. That's going to be on one of the first T-shirts that we do. Don't be ninja.
What show
nobody,
was that?
Don't be ninja.
Were you showing us a clip of you showing other people that clip?
Yes.
Is that what we
got
to experience?
And if you watch the rest of it, it's hilarious. See my different guests because
you know what? Next week you have to show people a clip of you showing us that clip from the other show.
Oh, okay. With your reaction,
just to kind of keep it going. Yeah, just keep it going from where we are.
What if I just go with the first time you first came out of the show and I played the Tyrone Biggins intro, and you were like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I like it.
I've been a teacher for 18 years, man. I'm used to things being on topic, so you kind of throw a lot of curveballs, and it's cool, man. It's your show, it's your game.
That's what the Sunday show is supposed to be, baby. It's just a vehicle for us to have a good time. And what did I tell you, Mike? At the end of the day, man, I just want you to come on and have fun on the show, bro. I ain't worried about the stats. But I am. Don't tell anybody, but I am, though. I do care about the stats, folks, just so you know. Subscribe, baby. Like the video. Ring the bell. Falcon Winter Soldier trailer, baby. This shit's inspiring. I'll tell you right now. I ain't gonna lie. This shit inspires me. These are some good-ass trailers, man.
It feels like it belongs to someone else.
Oh, baby.
That shield represents a lot of things to a lot of people. Symbols.
The music is so
are
good.
Nothing without the women and men that give them meaning.
We need someone to inspire us again.
The world's more complicated now.
You're never gonna stop.
Oh, I love it.
This world is ours. There's no going back.
It doesn't have to be a war.
It already is.
Oh, yeah.
We can't lose this fight. If we do this, we're gonna do it our own way.
Oh.
So we're partners, co-workers, not necessarily a team. No.
We look damn good, though.
Hot diggity dog, hot diggity dog, hot diggity dog.
One of the best things that I liked about that show is that I think that Disney Plus and Marvel, they got ahead of anybody who was going to complain that Falcon was going to become the next Captain America. I think that they got ahead of it by having him initially reject it and then come to terms with it and accept it over the course of the show, so that you were rooting for him to take it. Like when you it was always going to be very hard to replace Chris Evans as a Captain America, no matter what they did with it, whether they gave the shield to Bucky or whomever. But to give us the new Coke version of Captain America for us to immediately reject and despise, so that when Falcon finally, accepts it, we're 100% behind him. It's just a brilliant move. It's almost like you can anticipate the trolling online.
Jeremiah, let's save that. Okay, I've got one more.
Beautiful.
Who would like to start? Mr. Barnes, why does Sam aggravate you?
15 seconds to drop. So what's our plan?
Great.
Superheroes cannot be allowed to exist. I have no intention to leave my work unfinished.
The world's upside down right now.
Where do we start?
We came here to see Jet. What you got? No, not on my
Buck, I have a plan. Oh, yeah? What is it?
Is you ready?
Here we go again, huh?
We've been grinding hard on the job. Can't take that from us. Are you ready? Is you ready? You said you ready. Ready? Is you ready? Are you ready? Is you ready?
That little girl kick your ass.
Fucking music, man.
See? That wasn't so hard.
Are you ready? Is you ready?
Okay.
You say you ready.
What are you doing?
Whole squad ready.
Are you having a staring contest?
Are you ready? Is you ready?
Just blink. Sweet Jesus. I mean, how old are you?
Hell yeah. I'm telling you right now, I don't know. Something about the music on these trailers, it just does it for me. I mean, they've had good music in a lot of these trailers, but these specifically, that one right there, that rap song or whatever that is or whatever, was fucking sick. It fit the trailer so well. Jeremiah, to your point, and again, I just want to put it out there. I don't know how y'all feel about this, but I find those trailers just, I love them. They're going to end up becoming ones for me where, like, I watched reaction videos of Mike, everybody, Jeremiah knows, Jasmine knows. That's what pumps me up. I watch reaction videos to old Endgame trailers and Infinity War trailers and Captain America Civil War and the original Avenger trailers. The two reactions that were made of those, I watch them to get pumped for shows and whatnot, or when I'm down or whatever and whatnot. That's what inspires me. As the MCU. That's how much it means to me. And so, of course, I watch these reaction videos to this too and whatnot and everything, right? So I guess before I forget about it, Jeremiah, to raise your point, if I understand correctly, your point is simply that they handle the whole transfer of the shield the right way, strategically, by waiting till the finale to make him Captain America and give him the shield.
Yeah, I think I said it better earlier, but I think that they anticipated a fan backlash for whoever was going to get the shield after Chris Evans.
No matter what.
So they built it into the storyline to give us a Captain America that we absolutely needed to get rid of. And we were happy that, Falcon was our guy.
I think people would have been more pissed off if Bucky had been given the shield, to tell you the truth. I do. I think less people are racist out there than you think that they are. A lot of people think they are,
I don't know, man. I think if they just gave it right to Falcon off the bat without the emotional journey that he had to go through, I think we would have been looking at a huge disappointment on your end with that one.
Well, let me go around to the panel on this, and as a contrast, I'm going to bounce off this, and I'm going to ask you guys after this. What about the fact that they decided this was a good move too? I think they separated Sam and Bucky. Now they're not going to be together for Captain America 4. Bucky's going to be the leader of the Thunderbolts. They've already made that official. So I don't even see him being in Captain America 4. If he's in it, it'll be in a small role. He will not have a big part of it, whatnot, and everything and all that. It's going to be Captain Sam's his own film. They're going to give him his own film, his own first film. It's not going to be him teamed up with Bucky anymore. It's be on him and whoever he's going to be teaming up with at that point. And they'll give him characters to work with and whatnot and everything, and allies and whatnot. But Bucky, they're going to maximize the potential of the two of them individually, not continue, and milk that dynamic any farther, which I think is a great move on their part. Now, Jasmine,
technically, that's not what they're doing with the Thunderbolts. What I heard is the Thunderbolts is supposed initially to be a Black Widow 2, focusing more on Yelena and not really focusing on Bucky. Bucky's there, but that's not the initial point of which I've been heard.
I didn't say it was a point. I said it's been official so they've already made it official that Bucky's going to be the leader of the team.
Oh yeah, him being the leader doesn't change the fact. Just like what was it, Captain Britain or whatever from the Black Widow movie? He was the captain of his little troop over there, but technically it wasn't his film. I'm just saying, even like that's what they said was that it's basically Black Widow 2. That's what I've been hearing.
Captain Britain was in the Black Widow film. I don't remember seeing Captain Britain.
I'm talking, the super soldier fat guy. I can't remember his name right now. I can't remember his name. But
Captain Russia.
Thank you.
That's not actually his name, but that's.
But I know who you're talking about.
Anyways, that's the Red Guardian. That's the Red Guardian, and Jasmine. The Thunderbolts film is not going to be an extension of Black Widow. It's not going to be a vehicle. If they want to make a Black Widow, I don't care. If they want to make a Black Widow 2, they'll make a Black Widow 2 with Yelena, and she'll star in it. Whatnot.
You don't care, but that doesn't change fact.
The Thunderbolts is a team. It's a team. It's the Thunderbolts. It's not a solo project. It makes no logical sense then that it could be a vehicle for a Black Widow film. It makes no sense. Anyways, but Mike, well, no, actually, Jasmine, I'll go to you first. I'll go to you, Mike. Ladies first. Jasmine, will you ponder on Jeremiah's point? Had you ever? I never thought about that really, about the fact that the pacing of them waiting for the finale to actually give Sam the shield fully and give him the outfit and whatnot and everything. Do you think that was a really strategic move on their part?
I thought they did an amazing job as someone of a person of color watching it and them showing, how we are, seen from like police standpoint, and then they immediately go, oh wait, that's Falcon, and then they backed off. It was nice. It showed his initial struggle with being a Black man in America, on top of the fact that they wanted to give him a moniker, which already had so much history behind it. And then you dive deeper into what that history is, and you get there's actually a Black Captain America already. And then it was nice. It was an unraveling nest egg of history for America. And I loved it. And I think they did a really good job because they gave us this Captain America that was a selfish asshole who only thing that he cared about was power and his legacy and his name and what he could do, and him taking the super soldier serum and how that increased what he was, and then he killed somebody on the steps of a statue that meant a lot to these people. And it was just like they did a great job of building up this suspense and this anticipation and this story-driven narrative that just had you following and waiting for every episode, that you were just like, oh God, thank God we got it. He finally accepted it, because once you got that comic book accurate suit, when he can't crash through that window, I swear the way I screamed for joy was just, it's nice to see comic book accurate outfits, especially when it comes to the MCU. And I can't stand when people say, "Oh, it's gonna look dorky." I was like, you can adapt a suit to the point that it still looks like the comic book accurate suit, but modernized. It's that simple. And that's what we're asking for. Because after a while, they're just people in leather looking like the X-Men from Fox. Like, after a while, that's what we're getting. And we're trying to evolve past that. And that's kind of what I liked about Elektra, Jennifer Garner's outfit, because you got to see the sketches of the outfits, and they even tried to do a comic book accurate outfit, but saw that it just didn't look good on her. So they had to evolve past it, and they made an outfit that to this day is still legendary when it comes to, if you saw that outfit coming towards you in a dark alley, I know your ass is going to run. So I just
Jazz,
feel like that moment was amazing.
Let me pass over to Mike. Let me get Mike in here and whatnot and everything. And I just want to point out too, though, just as rebuttal to your statement about John Walker in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, I don't believe John Walker was selfish at all. He was doing what he was trained to do. You know what I'm saying? And if anything, he just was very like beyond ethical and like beyond the law in his pursuit of like what he thought was doing his job. He was trying to protect the country. Like that was his role. That's what he was trying to do. And he wanted to be Captain America. He cared deeply about having the shield. He respected it.
Yeah, but it was also his friend who told us that he was selfish even back when they were in training. That's just kind of who he is. He thinks of himself first when he reacts off anger.
Yes.
And of course, that's what I was referring to, is the fact that his anger is what is driving him for the most part, when like something can trigger him that could be something minuscule, and then he runs with it.
And he still has, and he still has a super soldier serum in him, and we saw what happened to that when he started having his episodes and whatnot and everything. And I'm sure that will carry over into the Thunderbolts. You'll see him having those problems again and whatnot. He never got that fixed or told anybody about it. So, right. But Mike, to Jeremiah's premise, I agree with 100% on my end. Moderating the show, I think he makes perfect sense. I think it's very well put and everything. How he articulated it makes sense to me. What do you think?
I think he's right. I think, like you had said a few minutes ago, you couldn't give it to Bucky.
No.
Bucky's a villain, and you hadn't given him enough time to be a hero.
No.
And I think you would have gotten a lot more backlash from fans, that Bucky didn't earn it. The only backlash you're going to get about Sam is pretty much racism, or people saying you got to give him time to become Captain America, which the show did. But giving the shield to Bucky, even though I know it's also comics accurate that they've both had the shield at different points, the MCU's Bucky just stopped murdering people, and we just found out he killed Tony Stark's parents. He needs a longer time. If maybe Sam retires and you can give it to Bucky, if either of those actors still want to do it in 10 years, that's fine. But Bucky right now has not earned the right to be called a hero. He's still kind of squarely in the anti-hero kind of category.
Yeah, I'm saying the move to have Sam have self-doubt and have him go through the emotional journey of realizing that he deserves it is what undercut the potential for what was the Little Mermaid reaction of recent months.
Right.
No, Mike, what are your reflections on that? What do you think about that? I hadn't really pondered that very much, to be honest with you. Even when we reviewed the series, I never really thought about it in real time, and I haven't gone back to watch it since. Although I need to be honest with you, I need to revisit it. It's about time, right? For me, same thing. I was just thinking the other night that I need to go back and watch WandaVision. I went past that on Disney Plus, and I'm like, you know what? I almost clicked on it. I did. I came very close of going back and watching episode 1, but it's one of those things. It's like a nostalgia block where it's like, you love something so much and whatnot and everything that you're afraid to go back and revisit it almost, if that makes sense inside. I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I am with some stuff. But no, did you think about that? Did you kind of get the gist of that like Jeremiah did when you watched the series, for instance? Did it occur to you?
I mean, as soon as they gave Sam the shield, you know, you can kind of see people talking inappropriately about whether he deserved it or not. And the show tackled it head on, which, you know, I wasn't the biggest fan of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was good, but I wasn't a huge fan.
I'm right with you on that, Mike. For me, it was Loki, then WandaVision, then everything else.
For me, it was WandaVision, Loki, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier presented some great ideas, but I think that it's that Disneyfication. It tried to do it within Disney's parameters, but I do commend them for tackling that issue head on and being like, you're wrong. Sam deserves a shield. Here's why he deserves the shield. And they really did that in a really kind of adult way as they could.
They did.
While still being within the MCU's.
No, you got to give the writer for that. I forget his name. He's the same one that's writing Captain America 4, right?
Right.
He did a great job with the story, whatnot, and everything, and all that. Alonzo Spellman, and I'll give him credit for that. Jasmine, we didn't give you a chance to get in there and rank. What's your ranking between WandaVision, Loki season 2, and Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Well, for me, it goes Wanda, Falcon, and Loki, and the most for me when it comes to the Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's mostly just due to the fact that they even tackled that storytelling in a medium where people are so easily upset and will go escalate to 1,000 without think of the repercussions of what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel very bold to express their hate or dislike on Twitter to the point where they have actors playing a character deleting their Twitters or deleting their Instagram. And I think that is something that is very premature and very 2000s.
Yeah, see, Jasmine, that's why I separate myself. Twitter is only a vehicle to me to like do things like connect with people like Mike. Other than that, I have no use for it.
Because I won't lie, I may have been one of those type of people when James Gunn got his job. I did tell him to get his ass off Twitter because he's talking too much and he's just making everybody angry. I was like, just do your job, shut up, stop tweeting. You're reminding me of Trump during his presidency. Stop tweeting.
It's bad enough to go on YouTube and be spoiled before you go watch MCU films and stuff like that and whatnot and see negative like comments and whatnot before you go see Ant-Man 3 and shit like that and whatnot. That's like inadvertently and whatnot and everything. Twitter is a toxic minefield to go ahead and just warp your decision making about things.
It depends on where you are though, because like there is a safe space on Twitter for particular fan bases, and it depends on which hashtag you go under.
Anything that is labeled a safe space, I don't want to participate in it, Jasmine. If it's called a safe space,
no, I get it. But like I've learned as someone who frequents Twitter enough to try to find a non-toxic space to read reviews of what people think without them putting in their biased opinions. And I feel like when it came to Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye, these were two shows that touched on topics differently. You had family with Hawkeye and Kate initially coming back from her school and finding out that her mother is this criminal that's doing this work, and her saying Kingpin and just unraveling stuff about her history on top of learning to be the new Hawkeye and being trained. It was just kind of a nice little Home Alone-esque type movie for me. And I think they did a really wonderful job with that, while we have Falcon and Winter Soldier that gave us this patriotic storytelling of lives of two different people struggling with their own pasts and futures due to time they've missed.
Well, let's shout out to Jasmine. Let's shout out to Tex real quick and whatnot. Tex, we appreciate you. There's a lot of I'll tell you what, I gotta say honestly, there's a lot of people out there that really think I've heard a lot of people think that the Hawkeye series is the best Disney Plus series they ever saw. But we did our ranking shows. I think two different people actually picked it as their number one out of 9.
It'd probably be mine.
Or not, out of 7. I'm sorry, out of 7. So there you go, Mike. But, that's why I connected it with you, Mike, is that There you go. Like, that's one of the great aspects of the MCU and being in the fandom, right? Is that we all have different opinions, and at least here we respect them, right? You know what I'm saying? We might like get irritated with each other about them here and there and whatnot, or have a grievance with it, or a disagreement about it and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we do respect them, and some of the best discussions and conversations get flushed out of them, right? And at the same time, it grows your friendship with with your other creators and whatnot, and your guests and all that and whatnot, to have those chances to talk like that. Because things like doing these shows are almost like a vehicle for friendships. With in content creation, for me, that's how I see it sometimes at times, right? And Jasmine knows that as much shit as I may talk on here, I do have an actual very like caring and like deep heart, where like I really care about people a lot, and like really wish them the best and want nothing but the best for them. So and then just like I would wish the best for the MCU. I don't want it to die. I don't like to hear people talking about, the superhero genre is over and all this kind of shit and whatnot and everything. It bothers me a little bit and whatnot, because I'm like, nah, I don't agree with you, and I don't think it's good for anybody.
I think
overall.
it needs to evolve. That's my issue. I think it needs to evolve for an older audience, because the audience is starting to wither and die off, because they're getting, some of the fans that have been with the MCU for the last 10 years are getting tired of that Disney-esque.
Wait a minute. How long ago was Endgame, Jasmine?
Endgame? I don't know.
2019, 2020?
Yeah, it's the right person.
They're
2019, I don't know.
They're doing it right now. They're making the changes. They're going to make the changes. I know,
but it's also the fact that I still think that they're bringing in properties that were technically almost rated R, with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Cage, Iron Fist. But basically, they're taking these properties and making them canon, and they're going to rewrite them a little bit so that they fit in this world that they've created. And I feel like they need to keep to what made them special. Adapting them to your format to make them fit in your world is kind of like taking Deadpool and taking out his F-bombs and his blood and his gore that makes him him.
Sweetie, I'm 100% with you on that, but that topic right there that you're talking about is so deep that we could talk about that for 2 hours right now.
I know.
We can't flush that out right now. It's just too much. There's too much breath in that, and believe me, I'm with you on that 100%. Jeremiah is too. I know it. So you know what I'm saying? We want comic book accuracy with Frank Castle. We want the Punisher served well. If you don't do him properly, if you don't do somebody like Punisher the comic book accurate, it won't work. It will not be entertaining at all. It won't be. We already saw that.
It's not so much that you only need to make them comic accurate. Like what I referred to before, with Falcon Winter Soldier, people were able to take that journey. Same thing with WandaVision.
Yes.
It was about a woman dealing with her grief, and everything else was just light and magic all around, in order to help fill out the story, in order to help us understand the metaphor behind her going through her grief. As long as they don't get lazy with their storytelling, you can have the same amount of superhero movies for the next 20 to 30 years, but it has to actually tell a story that's worth listening to.
Yeah.
Mike, what are your three favorite, I didn't give you a straight number. Sorry about that, Mike. What are some of your Marvel movie moments or Marvel movie premises that had deeper meanings pulled off well?
Most of my thoughts go to the Netflix shows, because I think those are really the Marvel MCU-ish that did it best. Daredevil's 1, 2, and 3, Punisher 1 and 2, the first season of Luke Cage, minus the last 2 episodes. Those are prime examples of Marvel could be done right. In terms of the movies, I like Iron Man 3. It's my favorite of the Iron Mans, and I am always...
That's controversial.
Are always in there.
I'm with you. I enjoyed Iron Man 3. My friend can't stand it. What did you get from that film that people don't get?
I know that it's because my buddy on Forgotten Cinema jokes that it's Tony Stark getting through his PTSD just by building something. But you have to wrap that up quick in a movie like this. It's a comic book movie. But the fact that they even deal with it, they even touch on it. He's not just jokey the entire time. He's out of the Iron Man suit, but in the end, you get 1,000 Iron Men. So it's got that action figure moment. I think it works really well, and it totally subverts expectations. And everybody loves Iron Man 1. It started the whole thing. When I watched Iron Man 1, I was blown away. But when I rewatch it now, I just I roll my way through Acts 2 and 3 because there are no Acts 2 and 3 in the movie. From a storytelling perspective, Iron Man 3 has a 3-act structure that works. And that's what I enjoy about it. And obviously, I'm a huge fan of the very first Captain America, the first Avenger. It looks and feels different, and it just feels like a Steven Spielberg adventure film set in World War One, and deals with the theme of just heroism in a really cool way.
Most definitely. Jasmine just did her first reaction on her YouTube channel to a series she's going to do, where she's now extending it all the way into the Peggy Carter series. I thought it was going to be like an Infinity Saga review series. Like we're finishing up here soon, but she's actually going to be throwing Peggy Carter in the mix. And she just did her first installment with Captain America: The First Avenger, right, Jazz?
Yes, I did, and I'm actually going out into the Daredevil, Luke Cage. I have a initial timeline scape that Marvel put out, including those shows. So I'm actually going to go through those as well. Also throwing in some of the Fox franchise in there too, when it comes to the Fantastic Four and stuff like that, just due to the fact that they're going to be showing up in Secret Wars and Deadpool 3. So, for my initial fans that are out
Jasmine,
there,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but you really decided to take a bite on, but really expand your initial premise. Holy shit!
Oh yeah, I'm going for it because of the fact that for people who haven't watched them and they just want to see me and a friend goof off and watch a movie, it's going to be fun just to show them movies they probably haven't seen, especially when it comes to like Daredevil from like the old one and Elektra and stuff that really was deadpanned by critics that particularly don't care for these type of films. But for me, growing up, they were what made me love comics and get my first comic book. Like I didn't even know what Marvel was until these movies came out. So the moment they did, I started getting comic books. Like I actually own like $1 comic books from like vintage, like still in the packaging because of these movies. So it's, as a fan of this franchise in general, I'm going all the way back to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I want people to see how much I love these.
Okay, that's good to hear. And of course, we'll do plugs obviously at the end of the show and whatnot, and I'll pull up your YouTube channel and everything and whatnot. But I'm going to try to support Jazz as much as I can and try to get in as many of these reactions as I can. But when she first dropped this on me, it was supposed to just be phases 1 through 3 of the movies and whatnot, and I figured I could handle that, like, and try at least be able to make some of them. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. Like, Jazz likes to record during the afternoon and shit. I'm more of a night person and whatnot. But I'm gonna make as money as I can, Jazz. And I like the Peggy Carter show. I do. So, reacting to that sounds like fun. But either way, no. As far as Echo, the Disney Plus series goes, I think that it's important to point out that Echo as a character in the comics has some longevity to her, and her character has gone as far as to have at one point been a host of the Phoenix Force. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally, she started off as being raised by the Kingpin in the Daredevil universe in the comics to like eventually, becoming literally a host of the Phoenix Force, which, just so you know, folks, Jean Grey, the Phoenix Force version, is the most powerful character ever, I think, in the history of the MCU, probably. I don't think there is a more powerful character in the MCU ever.
You don't like the Fox
MCU.
movie?
What's that, Jasmine?
I wouldn't say MCU because of the fact that he hasn't appeared yet.
Not MCU. I'm sorry. In Marvel history, I think she's the most. I think she's the most powerful character, villain, anything. The Jean Grey
she definitely ranks. I don't think she's gonna top a lot of where we're gonna hit soon. But
she could take out Celestials and shit like that and whatnot if she wanted to.
But did you want me to get into a little bit of the research that I found when you hit me?
I would,
you
yes.
me earlier?
You think
Right,
you think it would be a good premise to go into Echo?
Hold on one second. Let me take a look real quick.
Let's do it. I trust you, Jeremiah.
Please do, because as someone who's currently starting to catch up with the comics, I'm actually going from like the very first ones. And
Oh,
reading
whoops.
through.
I guess I'm going to start with that, actually. That's a little bit more about me, everyone.
Oh, that was sneaky. That was sneaky, Jeremiah. I like that.
Yeah,
brother.
I do what I can. A little bit of shameless plugging.
I like
Go
that
ahead and
slick
scan
shit.
Scan that QR code. That'll take you to my
Mike, we
link
like
tree.
that. We like that slick, dirty shit over here on the bleeding edge.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. But while I was looking her up, I was looking up Echo because honestly, I didn't really, outside of her live action appearance in the Hawkeye show, I really didn't know too much about her. So you, Jeff, cued me in on this one, the photographic reflexes. Now, she's not able to mimic powers, just movements. So you stick her in a fight with Captain America and she'd be able to mimic Captain America's fighting style, but she won't have the endurance, the super soldier serum, the strength, any of that. How long she's able to retain those skills, that's something that I want to look up. I didn't get an answer to that right away. Mike, do you have an answer to that part?
Oh no, I'm all new to Echo as well. I did some research on her and read about her on Wiki, but I didn't see anything about how long she possesses. Yeah.
All right, so Jeff, once she sees something, it's
she's like a computer. She's like a computer. It never goes
Okay.
away. That's why
Okay.
Taskmaster in the comics would train people and whatnot and everything, and train villains and whatnot and everything and all that. Because
Gotcha.
once they have it, it's there. And not only that, when they fight people, when they actually fight the combatants that they've studied, they very quickly are able to not only like be able to counter them. They typically are able to beat them in physical combat because they know them so well. They learn through combat quickly how to simply just beat them.
So I wanted to share this one article. Actually, there's a second one too that I'm going to share on the next slide, but this one gave me a lot of background on the character, especially just as an introduction. So I'm going to ask everybody, if you have this up on a screen, like hold your phone up real quick. It'll take you right to the, I think Screen Rant. I think that is the Games Radar. I believe it is actually a fantastic article from earlier this year. Yeah, Games Radar. That was back in May of 2022. Talking about a lot of her background, a lot of what you talked about, Jeff, about her relationship with Kingpin, her relationship with Daredevil. I wasn't going to mention the Phoenix Force because I figured that would be a long way down the road.
I know.
To get into that. Kind of like I didn't want to mention when we were talking about Frank Castle and Punisher, him becoming Cosmic Ghost Rider. I didn't want to dig into that the last time we were talking about that because I didn't want to spoil it.
I just thought it'd be interesting for people to understand, though, that those that do understand what these things mean tangibly from the comics, that you know, put it out there that this is the range of this character.
Oh yeah,
right. Like how far it starts and can go.
Right, absolutely. The article talks about her interactions with Elektra. So Jasmine, if you don't know, Echo's back and forth with Elektra, especially during Secret Invasion, which is coming up.
That's right.
You may very well have something to look forward to there. The other piece that I wanted to share with everybody here, top 11 pivotal moments with links, by the way. This is actually from the marvel.com site. So what's going to be really good here is a lot of the moments that are highlighted here have links to the comic issues that they refer to. So in case you want to go ahead and stack up on your to read list, this is a really good site for that. It's a really good link for that. So I recommend you follow that over to the Marvel website, and that'll give you a really good sense of who this character is before we get a chance to see her apparently in October.
Yes, most definitely. And now, Mike, you're familiar with Taskmaster, right? To some extent? Or
yeah, Taskmaster I'm more familiar with. Not like super
Okay.
familiar, but I am more familiar with Taskmaster. I didn't realize Echo goes back to 1999. When I saw that, I thought she was fairly recent.
No, she does. Oh, sorry about that, folks. I'm just switching over to my cell phone real quick.
No.
Is he out?
Can't hear him. I think he just asked.
Oh man. This is the first time on the Bleeding Edge that anybody has successfully silenced Jeff. And it was him.
Himself.
And it was him. He could defeat himself.
Well, I didn't know that Echo had beef with Elektra, which is going to be
Apparently.
interesting.
Yeah,
As someone who read the comics, my biggest qualm with the comics lately is the fact that like they'll establish a character a certain skin tone and then they'll change it for a particular fan base that's complaining about it. It makes it really annoying because I can't quite get behind it because like there are some toxic fan people when it came to Scarlet Witch and Elizabeth Olsen and
oh really?
Yeah, and they kind of made it to the point where they actually changed the skin tone of Scarlet Witch in the comics. They've been doing it over time, darkening her skin tone to make her look more was it Romani? Because they keep retconning her. They keep retconning her to the point where now she's fully Romani and not the daughter of Magneto and Magda, which I thought was kind of depressing for me as a fan.
Yeah, I always liked it when Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were the children of Magneto. That was always my favorite.
Yeah, so like I said on Twitter, I do not follow this new retcon because I want to really enjoy the fact that they're related, because that was something that I've been really enjoying as someone reading through them right now.
Okay.
Guys, am I still not to be heard?
No, we can hear you now, but I was hoping we would pretend not to.
Oh, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You know what? I'll tell you what, Jeremiah. Honestly, if it got to that point, I would go ahead. I would feel totally comfortable with you and Mike and Jasmine wrapping the show up without me and whatnot and everything. And I would go to sleep and rest, and I would still rest peaceful, knowing that the show went well.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. I don't know how that happened, guys. It was at the beginning of the slideshow and at the end of the slideshow. I mean, like these just kind of just pop right up. Hold on one second. I'm going to stop sharing right there. All right, perfect. No,
so anyway, no, honestly, like I said, Jeremiah, I trust all of you. I think that Mike, so far your contributions have been great so far in the panel and whatnot. You've had some good things to say. We've enjoyed having you on. Jazz, you're solid as always. I already know you got my back. And Jeremiah, you already know I trust you, man. You know what I'm saying and whatnot. So like, if I all of a sudden my back went out, which did happen one time, my back did go out or whatever during the show, and it was so bad that I won't lie. I sat and tried. You could see the show. I tried to fight it out as long as I could, but it was one of those situations. Never happened in my life, but the one time where my back tightened up so bad in my lower back that it was excruciating. The pain was excruciating. I don't know if you ever had that before, Mike or Jeremiah.
If this happens while we're live, please remember that you're not performing surgery. You can let us know, and then
no. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Jasmine knows how I am. I just pushed through it as long as I could. But it finally got to a point where I had to go in the private chat and just tell Lord Deathman, you never met before from the Podcast of Champions, and Sally the MCU girl were there. I had to go lay down because I just couldn't take it anymore. And like they took the rest. I fell asleep. That's how bad the pain was. Wow. I passed out immediately. The minute I laid down and whatnot, the realization, just the feeling of the realization and of the relief from the pain, I passed out immediately, and they finished the show and went perfect. And
good thing you just got muted this time.
Hey,
didn't have
listen,
the exact kind of emergency.
Folks, I'm not trying to advertise for StreamYard here, but just to be honest with you, it is pretty cool that you can have StreamYard and just jump from device to device and whatnot and everything, and pretty much do what you want. But I think that it's the comic book, basically when it boils down to the comic book origin, and Jasmine, you can feel free to support me on this. Hers is very simple when it comes to Echo. It's not complicated. She's yet another one of the, whatever you want to call it, the Daredevil villains from the Frank Miller run. The comic books were, not from the Daredevil Frank Miller run, but similar to the Frank Miller run, where it's somebody who's a love interest to Matt Murdock, for instance, right? Yet is a villain or an enemy to Daredevil. Okay. And it's weird how Daredevil always has these dichotomies where some of his worst opponents and worst villains are his own romantic love interests. Like Typhoid Mary, I hope they do. Now, I think the only reason why they didn't go with Typhoid Mary in the Netflix series is because it would be too hard to flesh out her origin story. It would take too much time. There's too much context that needs to be given and whatnot and everything for people to understand that whole deal and whatnot and everything. But it's a great run.
They did Typhoid Mary in the Daredevil series.
They did?
Yeah, they did, and it was really, really bad. I didn't care for it.
What was it in season 3?
I'm guessing.
Because I'm in season 2. I haven't seen it yet. I'm in episode 12.
She's probably in 3 because I didn't. She was in there for a little bit, a couple episodes. I wasn't a fan. I liked her better in Elektra. It looked cooler. I know it's not comic book accurate, but it was aesthetically pleasing.
Well, I mean, Mike, I think you already mentioned it earlier. You read some of the Frank Miller run Daredevil stuff, haven't you?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so I know, Jeremiah, I know you have, right? I've never showed them before on here, but I have a couple of the actual books, the volumes that you can get online and whatnot, where they have all the big Frank Miller storylines and whatnot and everything, but it's compressed up into the book, right? They have the whole series or whatever and whatnot. I forget what that's called. But it's expensive and whatnot. And I have a couple of those with Frank Miller. I love Frank Miller. I'm looking forward to eventually at some point reading the Frank Miller Daredevil or Frank Miller Batman run. What was that? The Dark Knight?
Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Returns, yeah.
Yeah. And hey folks, we're doing our DC animated film reviews right now too. I already mentioned that to Mike. We need help on those. They're fun, man.
Wait a minute, hang tight. The DC animated film reviews. You're talking about the one
I told you already, Jeremiah, we were doing DC animated film reviews.
I must have forgotten.
We just did our third one on Friday night. We just Andrew was here. Jasmine's boyfriend Andrew was here on the panel and whatnot, everything and whatnot. And we did Batman Gotham Knight.
Okay, so you're doing that run specifically.
We're doing it chronologically all the way through.
Justice League Dark Side War, is that the one you're?
That won't happen until it'll probably take us a year or plus to get to that.
Right on. Okay, but that's the run. That's the animated film.
We'll be on and off as we start diving into the Disney Plus Marvel series, and we can do the Mandalorian, and we see whatever Star Wars throws at us this year, right? We know we're not going to get Andor season 2. I think we haven't said it officially, but I'm thinking we're not going to get it until I'm assuming 2025. And hey, anybody out there who hasn't watched Andor, go watch that shit, man. I'm telling you right now, you will not waste your time. The only reason I haven't seen Andor, and I haven't seen Kenobi yet either, but my daughter's 21. My daughter's 21, and we started 6 months ago doing an entire Star Wars chronological rewatch. Oh, that's awesome.
We're in the middle of Rebels right now. We've seen Bad Batch. We're all caught up with everything.
Jasmine, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's really cool?
I think that's amazing as a fan of Star Wars. I actually read the books.
Awesome.
Before for Kenobi that came out.
Oh yeah.
Preceding it. So and
no, but Jazz, what do you
show is
Jazz?
Amazing.
I'll watch the Kenobi show. I will. I promise. I'm gonna watch it and whatnot, and maybe we'll even do like a season 1 recap, even though it'll be late. We'll do one anyway. But either way, Jazz. No, what I wanted to ask you about was the fact that Jeremiah is sharing that experience with his daughter like that.
I think it's amazing. I think I kind of wish I had a parent that was like that with me, because me and my mom went and saw the movies together. Like we saw we read the comic for the third prequel. So the comic is a little bit more graphic than the movie was. So when we initially read it, we're like, oh my God, I can't wait. And then we went and saw it, and when was it Padme gets choked and then just falls over, we were so mad because in the comic book he chokes her and throws her through a brick wall. So I was just like, oh really? I could believe her dying of a broken heart after breaking some bones, but
Yeah, there's
her
always some differences to look forward to. The thing that that I'm hanging on to is that my 21-year-old daughter, she has really no memory of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So we've been building from like the chronological start, and I get to be with her when she fully gets to like have the full context, paying attention, watching of the original movie trilogy. So I get to actually experience that through her again, as if it is for the first time.
Are you gonna wait for Ahsoka coming out before you know
That's gonna
watch
be
it
really
too?
hard. Ahsoka is her #1 favorite character, and you know, watching Ahsoka handle Maul in Bad Batch, that last season of Bad Batch was just fantastic. I can kind of see why. I can kind of see why she digs that girl. But yeah, no, I don't think that anything is going to stop her. Wild Horses wouldn't stop her from watching Ahsoka when it comes out,
Well,
whether
I
it's in
figured
order or
since you're
not.
watching them in order, I was
Right.
wondering if you were gonna wait to watch.
I might, but there's no way in hell I'll be able to convince her to wait. That's not
Oh
happening.
yeah, I doubt
Let me
that.
get Mike.
But
Let me
like,
get Mike in here. Let me get Mike in
Please.
here. Mike, do you have kids?
I think he asked if
Did we lose him again?
Yeah, we lost him again, but I think he was asking if you procreated.
Do you have kids, Mike?
I did not. I do not have kids.
Okay, you don't. But what do you think about the fact that like and what I mean I know you know about I guess bouncing. Let's change it up a little bit off the question. Not just the fact that Jeremiah is having that that this going through this wonderful I guess passing of the rights or whatever whatnot with Star Wars and whatnot with his daughter, which I think is wonderful. But just the fact that the MCU, people can say whatever they want, that we can be unhappy with Phase 4 or whatever, or disagree about certain elements or whatever. But I think we all agree commonly that we've all seen reaction videos on YouTube, for instance, where it's a daughter and a father reacting to a video. You know what I'm saying? And like you can see the connective tissue. You can not just at the tissue of the MCU, but you can see the relationship. You can see how the connectivity between them. Whether it be a son and and a mother, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like the MCU itself, and that 10 years, there's no way to measure the impact it had on the relationships, interpersonal relationships between families and fathers with their daughters, or whatever, however you want to go about it. Would you like to speak on that?
Right. Well, I think it's kind of like a once in a generation thing. I mean, you only get those every once in a while, like Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Star Trek, MCU. Those are like the big 4 franchises, and I think the MCU is the most recent one of those of people that share that generationally, and pass it down from one person to another. Is like, hey, I watched this, and it's still going on, so let's watch my version of this, and then let's watch your version of this. And I think that's really cool. And even though my opinions of the MCU might not be as high as you guys, I do appreciate that. Obviously, it's something that's an amazing feat, and almost no one is likely to replicate that for a while because it only comes once every generation, pretty much.
So, Mike, quick question. How much do you know? Like you said, you may not be as much of a fan of like what current MCU. Is that what I'm getting? How much do you know about Echo? And you did watch the Hawkeye show, right?
I watched Hawkeye. I
Okay.
learned some about Echo from there. And in general, sometimes for like Marvel, I'm kind of like that guy who reads Wikipedias but doesn't buy the
Right.
comics, because I do
Okay.
have a comic book problem when I start them.
That's
I
so
know
tough. Yeah, I'm a completionist.
When
Yeah.
DC launched the new 52, I was like, all right, I have to buy all 52
Right.
and see which ones I like. And it turned out it was 12. And I was
Right.
like, wow, I have no money anymore. So I had to stop.
But
It's way different than when I was little, when they were like $1.50 and it was my allowance.
you talk about like you talk about moving in the right direction. You talk about like and Jeff's talking about the connectivity. What do you think, from what you know about Echo, what do you think you would want to see in order to make that a must-watch series?
I would love to delve into some of her Native American background.
Great,
I think
yeah.
that's something that hasn't been done before, but not do it in a way that's like, hey, look at us, we're Disney, we're being so inclusive. I want them to do it in a way that makes people go, oh wow, that's really like, I love the movie Wind River.
Okay.
And it's taking a look at modern, Native American reservations and stuff like that. And obviously Disney won't do that kind of a story. That's a very adult story, but to look at it in that kind of way, to like not go heavy on like heritage and what a lot of people do. I think that would be really interesting. I think Echo's ties to Daredevil. It's just as a baseline to what we're going to see with Born Again. What kind of Daredevil we're going to get. Obviously, he was on She-Hulk, but She-Hulk was a sitcom. So I don't think that's exactly what we're going to get, obviously, with his show. So I'd be interested to see how the Native American, like going back to your family roots, but also tying into Daredevil, which Daredevil and Fisk are very much New York City.
Oh yeah,
Hell's Kitchen,
yeah,
baby.
And we were we were talking about with Falcon and Winter Soldier that they handled some delicate issues, especially about the passing off of the shield and dealing with, there was a Captain America before Steve Rogers and the experiment, and they handled a lot of difficult conversations about, American past and American history. Do you think they could do the same quality of approach of handling the seriousness of it without taking away from story?
I don't know that part yet. It's difficult to do that where you don't get preachy.
It's hard.
It's hard to have storylines where you can tell the story and because it's all about show don't tell.
Right.
And a lot of writers nowadays, it's something I talk about on Forgotten Cinema all the time. They tell you and they don't show you anymore.
Right.
They get into these long diatribes, and I'm like, I now don't. Not that I don't care about the issues, but I don't care about them on the show. Let's show me. You want to talk about plights and things that are happening? Show me.
Right.
Let me feel that. And I think, although Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think, was imperfect, they did a lot of showing you.
So then, where's the line, though? Where's the line between showing
hold on
you?
a minute. Jeremiah, hold on. Let me jump in real quick. Let me just point out, and Jasmine, I want to hear what you think about this, and I'll go back to you, Jeremiah. Now, understand something. And Renee brought this up on a show recently. I want to give her props for that because she mentioned this as well, that this could be something that could be interesting that they could use in the series to kind of give it a little bit of a more depth or whatever, whatnot, for her character maybe. Now, they did not flush this out really at all in Hawkeye. They didn't flush out. Just like they didn't flush out her photogenic memory abilities in Hawkeye. Am I not correct? They did not. I don't remember them really like.
They did actually. They actually did show it. They didn't flush it out because it's not something that you're supposed to initially be like, oh my god. But when Hawkeye was fighting her cronies on his way into the base, she was watching him on the security cameras.
Yes.
And so she was watching his movement, and then when he came to fight her later, she repeated his same moves on him. And he caught that.
No, my question is, I have not yet seen the MCU. Remember the Black Widow film with Taskmaster? They made it as if like because of her tech, she was able to fight and like mimic or whatnot. I have not seen in the Hawkeye series. They did not actually spell out and flush out that she has this actual ability like Taskmaster's.
Taskmaster in the Black Widow movie isn't the same one from the comics. Let's be frank about that. They last minute rewrote the script. I know that there was a couple rewrites, and they rewrote him, the character, from a male to a female to go off of the fact that they established that the daughter was hurt, and they wanted to go off of that. Yeah, because I saw the guy who was going to initially play Taskmaster. He then got changed, and he started doing the stunt work instead. But when it came to her, it was all tech. It was just her it was her helmet. It wasn't her. It was the suit itself. The whole thing was on her. She couldn't take it off. So it had photographic reflexes, not her. So when it came to the Hawkeye TV series, she did. And they established that if you pay attention to her, watching cameras, watching movement, watching him. not initially running out to go fight him, but watch him take on her cronies and come towards her, and then she fights. And I thought that was a wonderful thing, because you got to see that she is actually patiently waiting and observing everything. And of course, they're not going to spell it out right away, because let's be frank, they don't have a lot of superpowered people in the MCU at that time. So we only have super soldiers and people with tech in this point, outside of Black Panther, who is technically, let's be frank, is a super soldier with a flower power.
Jazz, I don't believe that this is a superpower. What she has, what Taskmaster has, it's not a superpower.
No, I'm not saying she's a mutant. What I was saying was, well, technically, I think she is a mutant if she can get the Phoenix Force.
She's not a mutant.
No, I'm saying technically for me. I'm not saying in like her canonically, but yeah, she just watches and she can redo it. It's just photographic reflexes. It's not her. She studies really well, and she was doing that for a few episodes. So it wasn't like she wasn't,
Well, as far as as far as the Indian part goes, Jeremiah, my point was simply this. If you look back at the comments and you look back at what we saw in Hawkeye, if anything, if I see there being any element, there's nothing in the comic books with her father, Crazy Horse or whatever, whatnot, where he complains about the peril of the Indian culture or anything like that, whatnot, or none of that is talked about. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not his gripe. He's a gangster. He works with Fisk. He gets killed by Fisk, right? Because he's a gangster. Yet at the same time, they did inject a little bit of the mysticism that comes with this Indian aspect of her and her father. She has abilities and powers in the comics and whatnot and everything that has to do with the lore of Indian culture and whatnot and everything in their own like inner like magic almost, if you want to say, like they're
like, I'm not necessarily just talking about like the mysticism of the faith of the people. I mean, like, you've seen the show Reservation Dogs, right?
Of course. You mean the movie?
The TV show on not Reservoir Dogs, Reservation Dogs. It's on Hulu. It's about a bunch of teens who are of indigenous people, and they're dealing with the suicide of their friend, and they live on a reservation, and they do a lot of work showing what the slice of life is for the people in that community without being preachy, and just being authentic while also telling an amazing story. The show is absolutely fantastic, and I don't know whether that upbringing was in any way similar to Echo's, but if it is, I would like to see it treated with the same kind of like dignity and richness and gritty reality, because like that's something where if you're going to follow into the Daredevil and Punisher line, honest grittiness is very much a part of the way that they communicate.
She was raised by the Kingpin from age 6.
Okay. But returning home to what? If that's where that's where her season is gonna go. She's leaving the big city to return home to what? Like what would be kind of like? It's not like she's gonna go to return to the Kingpin's house and his penthouse and continue to be raised by him, right?
I see. That's what we don't know. That's what we're not really sure how they're going to play that out, because again, you have to remember, in order for her to become if they're going to follow Born Again and meld that into, because you got to remember, you have to take into consideration, right, that for one thing, Born Again, and Mike, I promise you, I'm sorry I didn't do it this time, but next time I will. As I seamlessly insert myself into the show, I will go ahead and I will give you a wiki fandom version of like cliff notes of like the Daredevil Born Again, how it goes down in the comics.
Yeah, I actually did because I kind of knew about it, but I did reread up on it before this as well because I was like, I know they've already taken parts of that from Netflix, but also I know that Charlie Cox has also said this is going to be its own new thing. So who knows what the continuity is going to be when we get Born Again the show.
No, but basically what I was going to say is just that essentially they're going to be melding stuff kind of like, as they go, usually. Like Jasmine said before, they're going to do what they have to do to flush out these comic book storylines and whatnot, flush out Echo and make it all work. Now, with Echo, as we know right now this is not official, it's heavily rumored that we're going to get at least 2 episodes of Daredevil in the Echo series, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and this is where it all gets into and Jeremiah, by the way, Jasmine, yes, I will connect you together. We'll talk about it in the studio after the show about the writing and whatnot. But no, this is where things connect into the Daredevil Born Again series. This is almost going to be a symbiotic kind of deal. It is. It only makes sense. Why would you not want to? Daredevil is very popular right now. He's restoring hope to a lot of people in the fandom. Let's be honest here.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing him back to the MCU was a great timing move on them to bring him in the way they did with Charlie Cox. Couldn't have had better timing, other than the Walk of Shame deal with She-Hulk. Other than that, whatever. But no, let's be honest here. It's given me more hope in the MCU knowing that we have Daredevil in the MCU. I fucking love Daredevil. I think look at this hat. Come on,
I was going to say I like your hat.
That's some good ass hat right there, bro. This is $47 over here, man. Come on now. This ain't no cheapie. This ain't the Walmart version of the Daredevil hat, baby. I ain't got that shit. But anyways, it's going to tie right into Daredevil. That's how they're going to set it up. Great move on their part, right? Why not? Interlink them. And then Echo will be a part of the Daredevil Born Again series somehow. She's also going to be an addition of it. She will be. Jessica Jones, supposedly, is going to pop up in either one of the series or both of them, right? We're going to get her. She's a great element.
She's supposed to show up a few times throughout the next phases, through a few shows. I heard in
they're going to introduce her into Echo or Daredevil, one of the two, if not both. They want to connect the Defender characters together. They want them together. They want to keep them cohesive, just like that. They're the Defenders. So
I kind of feel like they're not going to bring back Iron Fist. They're going to use
oh, you think so?
Colin Wing as like the Iron Fist of this.
There's a better chance of them finding the Kung Fu guy, the Don't Be Ninja, Nobody Don't Be Ninja, than bringing back Iron Fist.
So I can't listen to a rich white guy shout, "I'm Danny Rand, I'm Danny Rand," over and over and over for 9 hours.
And it was so upsetting. It was so upsetting. I loved Luke Cage and Iron Fist as a duo in their comics run in like the early 80s and late 70s. Like I really liked Heroes for Hire. And with this Iron Fist, I felt so robbed because we got such a good Luke Cage. Yeah. It would have been really nice to have them as a duo that I could like enjoy watching.
And the Shang-Chi element too. Now it takes away the ability for them for him to team up with Shang-Chi, right? They would be the go-to kung fu characters in the MCU. That would be your top 2.
I do feel like it was the writing. It wasn't the actor. I feel it was very much the writing and the director that ruined the character, because you can't completely blame an actor for how he's portraying a character, because you have to have a good director telling you what to do. And if that's what they want, they're going to go with it.
Oh, absolutely. He's great on Game of Thrones. It's just in this show.
Yeah, like I know he's a good actor.
Who wasn't good in fucking Game of Thrones?
Good in that role.
Who was he in Game of Thrones?
Jar Jar could have been in Game of Thrones, and he would have been good.
He was the homosexual prince, I guess, Marjorie Tyrell's brother.
Oh, Renly Baratheon.
Who gets killed by the Shadow guy.
Yes. Okay. Oh, dude, really? I didn't realize that was him. That's really funny.
Game of Thrones is going to end up being like the bacon, the 7 whatever deals of bacon or whatever, whatnot.
Oh, you connected all the Game of Thrones?
Yeah, seriously, think about it.
Slices of bacon. The
Last of Us right now that we're covering, the 2 top characters, Joel and Ellie, are both in Game of Thrones, both actresses. And hey, that freaking girl that plays in The Last of Us, oh my God, she in Game of Thrones plays Leona Mormont. The head of the Mormont household.
Favorite character out of that entire
show. You want to talk about a 11 or 12-year-old girl commanding scenes with like literally 50 other fucking characters that are like grown adult people,
Her
and just dominating them,
staring down Ramsay Bolton,
yep,
like he was trash beneath her boot heel right before the Battle of the Bastards. What an amazing scowl
and
on that
Cyber, you
actress.
son of a bitch! I keep telling you every time we do the Last of Us reviews, you moderate that I want to play some of the Leona shit from HBO and whatnot, and it'll be good. Everybody will like it. I promise. Like they'll enjoy it if I play some of her Game of Thrones stuff, and you won't let me do it. Well, I'm telling you, listen to these guys. Come on now. What did you catch? Did you see any of her scenes in Game of Thrones?
I watched it all game. Of course I did.
Oh my god!
When House Mormont stands with the Stark House, and everyone else stands after her, like, oh, I mean, she killed the giant.
Oh my god! And I know, and she was already broken, and she was already broken. Jazz, she could barely hobble over to the giant to begin with.
I loved it though. It was the fact that she did the killing blow. She was like, "I'm not going out without taking you out," and I lived.
She's amazing.
Yo, you want to see some emotional trailer reactions? Watch trailer reactions to the final battle at Winterfell.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. If you gave that Mormont girl 3 dragons, the entire Game of Thrones series would have been 8 episodes long max, and she would have won.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. What did she say? My mother was no beauty.
Yeah,
she was a warrior. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I was like, oh man, god damn it, that's some serious shit right there. My mother was no beauty. I love it. You know what I'm saying?
I still haven't watched the prequel Game of Thrones.
House of Dragon.
It's entertaining. Just be prepared. Just be prepared for a lot of Matt Smith, and they're not shy about family gatherings in that show.
Incest and all that show.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Incest. We just call it incest here. This is bleeding edge, Jeremiah. We call it incest.
But I do need to run.
That's kind of initially what.
All right, brother.
Take care, guys. Mike, it was a pleasure meeting you. Jasmine, it was a pleasure meeting you. Hit me up. I'll follow you guys back immediately. Jeff, great seeing you again, man. I'll call you this week.
I love you, brother.
Take care, guys.
Take care, man. Be
Take
good.
care.
Thanks again. Anyways,
I should probably get going too. It's getting late on my end as well.
All right, Jazz, you want to dip? Me and Mike we can handle it. We can close it down.
All right. You guys have a good night.
All right, Jazzy. Take care, hon.
Thanks. Good meeting you.
Good meeting you too.
And Mike, we are now 2.
And there were 2.
We're like Lethal Weapon now again, baby. We're Lethal Weapon, baby. We're Bucky and Sam, right? You know. Anyways, right. No. So look, man. This is what I was kind of just telling you in the private chat, folks. I have no problem talking about the private chat during the shows and whatnot. Why not? We have to hide in there. Except for our like dick pics and stuff that we send each other and whatnot and all that, you know, but we keep that, you know, private. But no, honestly, the Sunday show for me, Mike, I didn't have time to explain it to you really quick and whatnot, but my vision always was it was going to be a place for me to be able to cut loose at the end of the week and whatnot and be able to not have to feel pressured or stick to my outline, you know, hardcore and be all serious. And I wanted to take the time, because I like to go sidestep, you know, the main premise of the show or whatever, or go off. You see, I have no outline. You know what I'm saying? I'm off the cuff and everything here. I use outlines from time to time. I do. And I do go off them from time to time. It depends on how serious the show is and what we're covering. This is something I don't need an outline for. You know, and sometimes I just like to challenge myself. I do. So it's fun just to, like, you know, read the room, right? Know what you have to work with, and just roll off that and whatnot and see what comes out of it. And so right off the bat, when you came in and you dropped that wonderful contribution from jump, I knew right there at that point that was going to alter the entire energy of the show. There's no way to fundamentally stick to Echo faithfully and whatnot, everything and all that, and still mix in the Falcon Winter Soldier, which I really wanted to do because I wanted to get some good positive energy with everybody, you know, going and make that work and not bounce off of that contribution. That had to be worked off of.
Glad I could start with that big mic drop.
You did. You altered the entire show for me as a moderator, and that's the stuff that I really enjoy about being a moderator. You know, that's the stuff that I find interesting, is knowing that I can identify those moments, right? those in the audience and whatnot. If you ever want to get into content creation and whatnot and everything, these are the things that I enjoy about doing shows like this and whatnot. It's not only meeting great people like Mike and having great people like Jeremiah and Jasmine in my life and whatnot, who, whether you see us butt heads on the shows and whatnot, understand that like I know them personally. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot and everything.
Gotcha,
we
yeah.
talk and we bullshit and whatnot. And like I know who their spouses are, I know who their kids are and whatnot. I'm you know what I mean, I'm aware of their families and whatnot, all that, and I'm cognizant of it and I respect it.
Gotcha.
But no, Mike, thank you very much for coming on, man.
No, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah. If you want to do more DCs, like have the DC guys on, I can get you into contact with them, see what they're doing.
What can I pull up for you so I can plug something for you?
Anything on ForgottenEntertainment.com. Just bring up if you want to pull up that up on the screen. That's our website. We've got all our shows there. You can listen to Forgotten Cinema, or my beer podcast, Crack One Open, wherever you get podcasts. We're mostly a podcast-based thing, but we do have some web shows. And like I said, Forgotten Cinema is up on YouTube. There's just no talking heads.
What is the whole network? What is it's forgotten?
ForgottenEntertainment.com.
Okay. It's not take long, I promise. You've been on StreamYard before. You know how easy it is to screen share and whatnot. It's just finding the stuff. Right?
That's right.
And it's my fault for not asking you in the private chat to just go ahead and give me the information. But there we go. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's it. So we got our podcasts, a few internet series we've done in the past, and then links to all the different shows that you can find there.
It looks visually great.
That's all. That's all the other Mike. That's all Mike Field built the website.
Hey, congratulations, Mike. Great job. That's very streamlined. I like that. Very minimalistic. Excellent. Look at that. I love it. Bohemian Geek Studies. Yeah. MC, is that the one you guys started?
That's one. Podcast? The other Mike and one of the other co-creators of Forgotten Entertainment started, but they only got up to phase. They did up to Endgame, and then they kind of wrapped up the podcast. So they haven't done like the newer stuff.
I see. Okay. Well, hey, folks, please support Mike's content as always. And of course, always support the MCU's Bleeding Edge. And Mike, thank you again for coming on. I'm sorry that it took me a minute and whatnot to get the show going. It was a little bit late and whatnot and everything. Thank you for being patient and whatnot.
Yeah.
And besides that, hey, we're under the 2-hour mark, even though we were a little bit late, which is always a positive thing. So I'm going to free you up, my friend, and let you go, enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm sure, maybe with your fiance or your family or video games or Andor. You never know.
I still have to get to Andor.
You'll get there, man. I'm telling you.
I'll get there. I finished Kenobi. I don't know why I haven't started Andor. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I just haven't for some reason. I think it's the seriousness. I'm like, all right, I gotta buckle down.
See, this is what what this intertwines into what I said earlier about that block I have.
Mm-hmm.
Right, of not wanting to go back and watch WandaVision, not wanting to go back and watch Falcon Winter Soldier. Right, it's
right.
the same reason why I love Bandmade. I'm going to see them in April for the first time, but they have over 100 songs in their catalog. I do reaction videos to them, and I do reaction collaboration videos where I introduce other creators to Bandmade. I told you that before, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And bottom line, I've only probably gotten just yesterday. I just hired a production assistant. Her name is Naomi. She's already been guesting on the show and whatnot. Shout out to Naomi. You did a great job today in training. Doing a great job as a member of the team. Glad to have the help. But Jasmine and I and her did some Bandmade reactions the other day. And we did a new song for me, and it was my first new Bandmade song that I'd even listened to in probably 6 months. Because I've only listened to probably 7 or 8 of their songs. I'm so afraid to I want to savor it. You know what I mean? Yeah. If that makes sense. And that's how I kind of connect to where you're at.
Yeah, for Andor, absolutely, yeah.
It's like I'm assuming the expectations must be so built up for you from other people in terms of
that's the problem. If you don't watch it when it first happens, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's the greatest! It's so great! It's so great!
It's the best thing that ever happened." Yeah, I think it's one of the best TV series I've ever seen in my life.
That's what so many people are saying, and it's just like, if it's not now,
it's not just Star Wars. I think it's one of the best TV series I've ever seen.
It's such a high bar that I'm afraid to watch it, which is part of why I was afraid to start Game of Thrones when people were like, you got to watch it. Now I'm like, I'm daunted by the
See, I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I watched the first season, then I got hurt. So I didn't watch TV for a couple of years, right? It was the lore that brought me in
That brought
on
you in?
YouTube. The lore videos. Those cool YouTubers. I love all of you. They make those hour-and-a-half long lore videos where they break down, what the veil is and whatnot, and everything and all that, and like, all the different parts of like, the whole landscape of the Seven Kingdoms and all that, whatnot, and all that, or whatever you want to call it. That world, that world building, that of course, why am I forgetting his name? I have no idea, but you know what I'm saying, that that the author put together through these books.
Yeah, George R. R. Martin. Yeah,
George R. R. Martin. It's so deep. There's so much to it and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? A Shy. Like if they would just do a series on a Shy alone.
It's taken him like 9,000 years to finish his book series, but also
That's right.
why there are so many spinoffs and so many possible spinoffs they can do off of it.
I mean, honestly, I just knew enough from the lore, and then I just watched enough of those reaction videos to that final battle in Winterfell against the Army of the Dead, where I was like, "Oh man, are you kidding me, dude? I gotta watch House of the Dragon." So I started researching right then. You know what I mean? I was in it, and then hats off to my co-host Cybernetic Shark. I just started doing the weekend shows, and he was like, "Hey man, why don't you just do the?" I was gonna review the series no matter what. Even if I had to start a new YouTube channel, I was doing it. I didn't care, right? Even if we are the MCU's Bleeding Edge, I was covering that show. And he's like, "Dude, just do it on Sundays. It'll work out perfect with like the timing of it and everything, and being real time." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I should just do it like that." And it did work out. I learned a lot from it too. I learned that I can't have 8 people on the panel like I can for a She-Hulk Disney Plus series episode review. I'm like House of the Dragon. It don't work. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too much to talk about. It's too much to. It's not fair.
Too deep and too much to dissect. Yeah.
Yeah. The show would last 5 hours long if you tried to fairly distribute time and everything and whatnot, of questions and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. There's too many different relationships and characters and interweavings and everything to talk about and articulate. You've got to have a small group,
right?
That you could just rely on consistently, show to show and whatnot, and kind of just maybe have 1 or 2 people to sub in and sub out if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a learning experience for me. At the same time, too, it was a chance to review something not MCU related that was like so grandiose. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, this is outstanding. So yeah, I mean, I loved it. I had a blast. So you didn't see House of the Dragon?
No, I haven't watched it yet. I mean, apparently I've got 2 years before the next season. So
yeah, you do.
Yeah, I got plenty of time. Yeah,
you got a year and 3/4.
2024.
Yeah, I think they said mid or third quarter 2024.
Yeah, so I got plenty of time. I mean, if it's as good as Game of Thrones, it'll probably be a 2-day watch and I'll be done.
Just don't be surprised. Don't be. I hope you really like a lot of like dialogue and like character building and whatnot and like all that.
That's the first season of Game of Thrones, season 1 and 2. You
right.
build up to the action. It's a lot of, the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. I was like, that guy's my favorite character. I can't tell you what his name was because I can't remember right now, but I love that guy.
Because there's so many fucking people out here going on the screen. I don't even know who knows who they are.
There's 18 main characters, but you kill enough of them off, and then I start to learn some names.
Even then, they come up with new ones.
That's true too. Yeah,
they just throw new ones in there anyway. You know what I'm saying? But no, but the lore drew me in. It did, and the lore is what got me to the House of Dragons. And now I'll end up going, and I will watch Game of Thrones, but I'm reading the books right now first.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm enjoying the shit out of it too. They're not hard to read. I can tell you that right now. George R. R. Martin is a hell of a writer.
That's good.
No, and I'll tell you what, Dune. I got sucked into to Dune with the lore.
Oh, I've always loved Dune ever since the Sci-Fi Channel put out their miniseries.
Oh,
I love the new movie.
Children of Dune.
Oh, they did Dune, and then they did Children of Dune.
Oh, that's right. They did Dune. With
William Hurt was the dad.
William Hurt. Yep.
I don't know the guy who played Paul Atreides in that, but he was really good. But I've seen him in some stuff after that.
So that's what sucked you in. Was that?
That's what sucked me in. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, it looks like Tatooine, so I was like, oh, okay, a whole show, and obviously everyone builds it up as it's inspired Star Wars. So
you don't even know about my relationship. You don't even know I have a serious, deep relationship with Tatooine, man. I mean, I am a Tuscan translator. That's one of my alter egos on the show. I'm a Tuscan translator. I'm taking Phoenix online courses, right? I go to Tatooine from time to time to get actual.
Oh, you got to immerse yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I've hung out with the Tuscans and whatnot and everything. I even did that whole thing Boba Fett did, where he ran into the desert for 2 nights and shit and all that, and got his stick and all that shit and whatnot.
The LSD seed or whatever.
Yeah. I did all that, but when it came to me though, I was like, hell no, I'm not walking through the desert for 2 days and shit. I had Captain Marvel's butt double step in for me, and she did my walk across the night or whatever. And then I just like sprayed some shit on myself, like some water or whatever, whatnot, and rubbed some dirt on my knees and shit and everything, and made myself look tired. Smoked the cigarette in like 30 seconds, you know what I mean? So I was out of breath, and then just grabbed a stick off the ground and just went to the Tuscans. They don't fucking know.
Yeah, spent your 2 days at the Holiday Inn, just hiding from everybody.
They said something. They said something to me about it, but I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. I mean, I never said I was effective translator. I just said I'm trying. I'm learning here.
You're just trying, yeah.
So either way, yeah. And then on top of that, Boba actually got me a deal on my Bacta tank.
Oh, that's good.
I have my own personal Bacta tank. It's in my room. It's off the screen. You can't see it.
Seems like a peaceful way to sleep.
No, I mean I use it for all kinds of stuff. STDs. If I catch one, I just jump in the Bacta, clean out real quick.
It's a cure all, yeah.
I'm good. It's just it saves me time when I was going to the doctor.
Absolutely.
There you go. We got the Bacta. But no, what do you call it? No, during the just be prepared though. If you're going to come on to an episode of The Mandalorian season 3 with us, when I moderate my shows, I will be in full Tusken Raider costume. During my moderation shows, I will be full Tusken Raider.
Full Tusken Raider.
Yep. I've already got the outfit. I just got to get the accessories. There's no goggles in the outfit. Whatnot. I need goggles and belts.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. Tons of belts. Yeah.
Now, the more belts you have in the Tusken culture, especially like weird, fucked up ways, like around your hip and then around your, like side of your back, whatever, that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. That shows you like how legit you are with the Sand people.
You're gonna moderate. You gotta go full chieftain.
There you go. So I'll have at least 7 belts, I promise, folks, for the Mandalorian. And I'll try to find them. And, I'll work them out. They'll be interesting way, well put. But no, again, thank you very much, Mike. We're out of here, folks. We'll see you next time. Peace.